Have you just purchased PandaDoc and are wondering how to set up your workspace? In this video, I'm going to walk you through the exact steps on how to set up your workspace according to best practices so you can send documents out like a pro. Let's jump right in. Okay, so we're here in the main PandaDoc dashboard, and I'm just going to jump straight down to the workspace settings area here. Just double check that you're in the correct workspace. So by clicking here, you can switch your workspace. And if you have more than one, but let's say that you've just signed up and you basically just want to set up this account. I'm in a demo account here, so I'll just show you briefly these sections here. We've got things like workspace name. In here you can go ahead and change the name of your workspace. You can also add an icon. It'll display up in the top here, and it'll also display on the emails that go out if you use PandaDoc to send out your emails to clients. Not via a link, but rather via the PandaDoc platform itself. So that icon is what will be used there. You can turn this off and on. Anyone at your domain joins a workspace on request. This you can turn it off or on. It's kind of used where you might have a situation where you'd like people to be able to join who are on your domain. That's how that would work. Anyone can request access to documents. You can turn that off if you don't want people to be able to request access to your documents. I'm going to just jump up into my account. We'll work our way down from there. So change your language, add your signature. You can just go change signature, add that here, or upload. That's how that works. And you can add stamps in here as well. Under security, you can add 2FA if you'd like. You can change your password in there as well. Under notifications, you've got the ability to go through and turn things off notifications wise. And this is quite useful because by default, PandaDoc sends notifications in most statuses of the document. Like for example, it's being opened by the recipient for the first time, but when it's completed, it gets sent as well. And you can even turn on if you want it opened by the recipient every single time. You can turn that on as well. So this is where you would turn those things off, turn off suggestions, turn off comments if they get added to a document, etc. So that's how that works. Authorize applications. You don't need to do anything here, but they will appear when you've granted access to applications in your account. We're into setup workspace. We already just went through. Document settings is the most useful area. In here, you can select the default theme that gets applied to every proposal, or every template, I should say, that you create. So you can go in here and you can set that up. You can set up the default numbers for the different phone numbers for verification purposes that you might like to have in here. You can set your default currency. Again, it's across all templates that you create will be set to that default currency. So I'm going to change mine to Australian dollars, but you can have yours set as US. That's how that would work. In terms of date format, depends on who you're doing business with as to how you might like to present this. If you're stateside, you'd be leaving that as month day. But if you are in UK or Australia or many other countries, you will change that to days, month, and year like that. You can set up document auto numbering so that each document has a sequence applied to it. And you can do something like, you might like to have proposal be the sequence name, which means that when a document goes out, it will have proposal at the very start, and then it'll start with a number. So we'll have something like 10,000, let's say 10,001 is the first sequence number. Beyond that, every document created will just be incremented by 1 on top of that number, and it'll always have that there. So that can be quite handy in some instances. I'll just go like that, add that. You can also turn this off on a template level. So if you have a template that isn't using this auto numbering, you can just not apply that basically. Where are we? Date field, auto signing date. This is definitely, I would highly recommend using this. Most people will have this turned on. It's not by default, and you can do it on the template level, but certainly you can do that in here as well, and it's very, very useful to have. The document delivery method, typically email is going to be the most used case, but there's also availability to send it via text message, and you can do both as well if you have the client's phone number, depending on the industry and depending on whether that makes sense to you. Auto reminders, you can set and turn on auto reminders within here. Again, this is at the document level. They'll just be set as default for every document or every template that's created. So you can send your set your reminders and have something like first reminder in 5 days, repeat reminders every 3 days for every template that you create. Again, you can turn it off on a template level. So this is just a global sort of setting that gets applied. Confirm recipient consent to receive reminders. You can do that here. You can also set expiration settings for documents on any document. You can go 30 days and then warn. You can do that. You can configure your payment gateway here, but you can also do that in many other areas within the platform. So I'll just go ahead and save these changes that I've made and go ahead and have a look at the recipient experience. So the language, you can do the verification and signing. If you need this, e-sign disclosure turned on, you can do that. Recipients will be required to review and accept a disclosure statement before interacting with the document. You can turn that on if you'd like that to be popped up prior to the client signing. Identity verification settings. Turn on identity verification methods, so you can do that here, and you can set up those checks. Basically, have a passcode, a text, etc. So they're all there. There's another authentication method here, knowledge-based authentication. You can play around with that. And then you can also set the signature types within here. So this is where you would set this again globally. If you want the client to always type their signature, or you want them to only draw their signatures and not upload, so they have to draw it, which is quite quick to do on most devices, even on a computer. You can just turn those off like that. Okay. So you can set attach a PDF of the completed document to email. You can do that within here as well. In terms of what's useful here, definitely the signature type section and potentially the email attachments. That can be quite useful to people. They like to file away a signed copy of the document. Under emails, the company logo will display here again, and if you didn't set it up in the workspace settings, you can customize that and change the logo in here, and this gives you a preview of that email that I mentioned before that will display. You can change the button color, so if you want to, you can have set that to whatever your brand coloring is, which can look quite nice, and then obviously the button text, and then you can remove this use PandaDoc to create, etc. To business, company, etc. You can pop that down the bottom there. Thanks so much for choosing us, etc. And you can also remove that PandaDoc branding here. So that's how that works. So that's the team settings. You can change and add users in your team via this area here, and that's where you'll definitely want to do that. You've also got the ability to play around with the API and integration. So any integrations you have, I've got HubSpot connected in this instance, but you may like to use Salesforce or one of the other platforms. You can connect Stripe, Square, etc. Within this area as well. Workspaces in that area there, so you can go ahead and add and remove workspaces in there, and sort of jump into each one of them and set workspace settings. Under users, this just shows a list of the users. You can view the profiles of the users and you can see who you've invited. And then you've got roles here. Under roles, you can see what the permissions are for each of those roles. And you can also set up custom roles depending on the plan that you're on with PandaDoc. Single sign-on is available here. Billing in the next section, which is pretty straightforward. There's nothing really to say much about that. Payment details is linked to billing, and an audit log as well if you want to, and a log of all records. This section, not so useful. This one is the one that we're talking about in this video with regards to setting up the workspace. So I think that pretty much covers off all of the elements of setting up a workspace. I'll just double check that we got everything here. Oh, there is one other thing you can do, and that is upload your profile picture, which will display in various places throughout the platform, I should say. Yeah, beyond that, I think that is pretty much it with regards to setting up this workspace. Let me know if you've got any questions, you come across anything in here that you're unsure of. I'll be absolutely always happy to help, and have a wonderful day. Thanks.